Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to a brand new episode of DocTalk, your weekly guide to understanding the medical and behavioral topics that matter most to you and your family. Learning difficulties are not just poor academic performance, but a daily challenge a child lives with at school and at home. They may appear in reading, writing, or math, but they go deeper, affecting the child's self-confidence, social relationships, and behaviors within the family and community. Today on Doc Talk, we shed light on this topic. How do we detect learning difficulties? What are the social and behavioral impacts? And how can parents deal with the challenge that often drain them emotionally and practically? With us today is Miss Mai Alshawaf, life coach and child behavior specialist, who will share her knowledge and expertise on this important subject. But before that, let's take a moment to learn more about our guest, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back, dear viewers, and I am pleased to be joined by our distinguished guest in the studio here, Miss Mai Alshawaf. Hello, Miss Mai, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here. Delight.
Well, Miss Mai, first and foremost, let's begin by talking about what is meant by learning difficulties.
Learning difficulties means there's an issue in the brain processing information, whether it's numbers, letters, or it could be any basic information, memory. It means the processor of the brain isn't working properly. There's something going on.
And what is the difference between, let's say, learning difficulties and regular low academic performance?
When we have a child or a student who has low academic performance, it means they have the abilities. There's just something that went wrong. They didn't try enough, they didn't study enough, they didn't acquire the information they were supposed to recall. But when there's learning difficulties, even if the child studied, put the effort, did everything he can, and he has the information, but maybe there's a problem in recalling the information when needed, or there's a problem in writing or reading or making math calculations. This is not when it comes to academic performance that there's something that can be done. It's something that's out of their hand.
When somebody that's an expert like you, let's say, detects these types of problems, does that mean the child needs extra attention or something?
Yes, definitely. Intervention plans need to be put for kids with learning difficulties and disabilities to help those children overcome those obstacles, to give them learning strategies, to put more attention towards what's needed. Some kids need help in reading, some kids might need help only in math, some kids need help in all over the aspects of learning, or they are delayed in when it comes to memory, to acquiring new information, to maintaining the information they acquired. So intervention plans need to be put for those children.
So let's say when it comes to assessing a child's difficulty in learning, are there different levels to the type of learning difficulties?
Definitely. We don't determine for sure that a child has learning difficulties before the age of 6, before they start school and they start the whole learning and academic journey. After the age of 6, kids are in school, probably grade 1, grade 2. You can actually see the learning difficulties, and there are certain tests and measures. You can see, is it a memory problem? Is it a speed problem? Is it math, which means dyscalculia? Is it reading, which could mean dyslexia? Is it something related to writing, dysgraphia? There are different types of learning difficulties, and some difficulties, they arise in the early age of school because kids, they were not ready for school, and then they overcome those. Some difficulties, even with those intervention plans, they persist even when the child grows up.
I see. So what about the parents? As a parent, what are the early signs to detect some problems like that?
If we're going to talk the early signs before school age,
yes,
that can tell you something later on will be a problem. Speech delay. Speech delay is one of the main problems that can tell you something is wrong.
Like stuttering or?
General speech delay. A child could be 3, 3.5, 4, and they're still not talking. This is a major sign that a problem might happen later on. Some kids don't have difficulties even though they're speech delayed. You can't tell. Another problem is problems with social interaction. If a child doesn't know how to interact with kids their age, They don't know how to speak up for themselves. Something might happen later on. If a child doesn't know how to answer your demands, like you'll tell them, go bring me a tissue box. They don't know how to do that. Or they can do one demand, but they can't do a mixture of two. Get me the tissue box, bring it to the kitchen. That's two demands. It's difficult for them. Overall, these are one of the major signs that show you that something might be coming in the future for the student.
So is multitasking maybe overwhelming?
It could be, because when you're multitasking, you need organizational skills. Kids with learning difficulties, they lack this organizational skill. So they don't know common sense, or they don't know how to process the whole process. Should I take the tissue box first, or should I go to the kitchen first? Which hand should I use to take the tissue box? What's the direction going to the kitchen? It's all information for them. So if they're having difficulty processing or organizing those information, they can't perform for you whatever you've asked from them.
I see. So what about the IQ? Is it related to learning difficulties, or is it a common misconception?
It's a common misconception, because there are people with high IQ, but they still struggle academically. They could have dyslexia, even though they're very smart, their IQ is very high, but there's a problem going on. Or they could have high IQ, but they have ADHD, or they have autism, or they have sensory processing issues, or they have sensory issues. You can't determine the capabilities of, or the academic capabilities of a student just by the IQ.
I see. How do learning difficulties affect, let's say, a child's confidence?
It affects so much, because kids, when they're in school, they're not performing well academically because of their learning difficulties. They could be bullied by their peers. They could have a hard time by their teachers who don't understand what's going on with this child. They don't know that they're having difficulties, so they have high expectations from themselves. They think they should be reading by now, writing. They should catch up with their peers. Their parents could add to that, and they have high expectations from the child, and they could ask the child to do something that they're not capable of. Their confidence would be affected also sometimes, because nobody wants to be their friend. So I have no one to talk to. I have no friends. My parents don't understand me. For sure, their confidence is going to be affected.
And when it comes to learning in school, does the learning difficulties appear only in certain subjects, or does it appear in every subject?
Depends on the child. Some kids have issues when it comes to certain topics, certain subjects. Some kids have issues that are related to learning in general, recalling information in general, short-term memory, long-term memory issues. So all subjects will be affected. There are certain specific tests that help teachers, specialists, to determine exactly where this child is struggling.
Well, Ms. May, that's very interesting. We do have to pause here, as we do have a report ready. Now, dear viewers, we'll pause there, as we said, and as usual, everybody behind the scenes have been working hard to bring you the best content. And here's a report prepared for you. Stay tuned for that and much more. Welcome back, dear viewers, and I'm joined once again by our distinguished guest, Ms. Mai Alshawaf. Now, Ms. May, let's dive deeper, and maybe we can talk about how do learning difficulties affect making friends and social relationships. You touched on this, but we'd like to expand.
A lot of kids with learning difficulties suffer from issues with social interaction. They don't know the social norm. Why? Because either they're impulsive, they have issues making eye contact, they have issues performing when it comes to the regular dialogue. How do I start? What do I say? Please, thank you. And they don't know how to put a filter to what they're saying. They can say anything. So other kids will see them as rude, impulsive, they don't have social intelligence, so they'll pull away. It affects their abilities to make friends. It's also because they're very aggressive sometimes because of the issues they're having. A lot of kids with learning difficulties, they have aggression, stubbornness, anger issues, so it's difficult to maintain friends.
So that's interesting, which is a great segue to the next question. Now, you say other children might pull away. So does that make the children with the learning difficulties, let's say, an easy target for bullying?
Definitely, definitely. 90% of kids with learning difficulties have suffered from bullying at one point in their life or another. Whether when they're young kids, middle school, high school, or even when they're adults. People with learning difficulties are a target for bullying unless they're in an environment that's inclusive, that teaches people about neurodiversity and neuro differences and to accept others no matter what. But it's very rare to have this environment. And if you have it in a school, you don't have it outside of school. So it's difficult to say that a child will not suffer from bullying.
And how do these difficulties, let's say, reflect at the child's home?
A child who's suffering at school and is being bullied will definitely become a bully at home. He's trying to mimic those behaviors. He wants to have the upper hand. He wants to have the power. And sometimes those kids are even bullied by their parents, their siblings. So in return, those kids with learning difficulties are similar to a sponge. Whatever behavior they see around them, they're going to take that behavior right away and start mimicking this behavior at home.
How frustrating is it for a child when it comes to comparing the child to other children?
It's very frustrating because you're telling a child you can't do something they already know they can't, and they can't help it. There's nothing they can do, even though they're trying. It's out of their hands. So when you're comparing to them, when you're comparing them to other people, what are you telling them? You're not good enough. If I'm not good enough, eventually this child is gonna stop trying. I'm not good enough. There's no point of even trying. So part of it is emotional. It's not just learning difficulties itself. When you're comparing the child, you're destroying their emotions, you're destroying their confidence, and eventually most of them drop school. They don't even want to try to go to university. So there's a lot of consequences when it comes to comparing.
Very discouraging, I see. And what is the impact on verbal communication and self-expression?
Kids with learning difficulties, if they have early intervention and they have a good therapist on board, a good specialist with the family, they're going to know how to communicate, how to advocate for themselves, how to talk about what's going on with them, and they're going to learn that there's nothing wrong with whatever they're facing, whatever they're struggling with, and they'll know what to do when they're faced with someone bullying them or someone discriminating or someone comparing them to others. They'll know what to do, and they'll know the truth behind it, that I can let it go, no need to defend myself now. Whoever person in front of me doesn't mean much. Or they'll know that now it's the time to say, I need certain accommodations, I need more time, I need specific help.
So can these difficulties, let's say, increase the anxiety?
Definitely. There's a relation between learning difficulties, ADHD, and an anxiety disorder. And it's not easy to catch it because the signs are all the same. But if you do specific testing, you see that kids with learning difficulties could have an anxiety disorder.
Now, Ms. May, you did allude to this fact that sometimes the outcome of the child being bullied at home, it can take it out at home. And so can they lead to other aggressive or isolating behaviors?
Yes. When it comes to young kids, mostly they're aggressive. Sometimes it could move on to teenagers, but a lot of teenagers, they go in isolation because nobody understands me. I'm facing difficulties at school. I can't tell my parents, or my parents know, but my teachers are not doing anything about it. So the easy way is shutting down. I'm going to be isolated. I'm not going to talk to anyone. And it's a common teenage behavior that at this phase, they don't want to talk to anybody. Add to it the difficulties they're struggling with, and there's no resources or no way out. So either I'll be aggressive to let people see me, to grab their attention, or I'll isolate to let people not see me and not grab their attention.
Yes, I understand. Well, Ms. May, as fascinating as this is, we do have to stop just here to take a break, as we do have a report. Dear viewers, let's watch this report together, and you don't want to miss this next segment, which is Myth or Fact. Stay tuned for that and much more. Welcome back, dear viewers, once again with our distinguished guest in the studio, Ms. Mai Alshawaf. And now, Ms. May, we have reached one of my favorite segments, which is Myth or Fact. I'll present you a statement, and you can tell me if it is indeed a fact or a common misconception. So for the first one, all children with learning difficulties are late in speaking.
Myth.
Myth.
Yes, it's not proven. Some kids could be, some kids might not.
Now, for the next one, every child with learning difficulties cannot succeed.
Myth, because some kids with learning difficulties will definitely succeed.
Okay, so learning difficulties disappear naturally with age.
Myth, because some learning difficulties don't disappear with age, and they grow up with the child, and you can see adults with learning difficulties.
Okay, what about this statement, which is learning difficulties only show up at school?
That's also a myth, because some learning difficulties are related to social interaction and certain life skills.
Children with learning difficulties cannot be integrated into regular schools.
That's also a myth. Kids with learning difficulties can definitely be integrated, and they can succeed very well.
So when you say integrated, can you elaborate, like what kind of attention, or do they need extra attention? Or
they might need extra attention, they might need a different curriculum, they might need more time in class, they might need more time for tests, but definitely having kids together in the regular classroom, including all cases, different cases together with regular kids, can benefit both the regular child and the learning difficulties child. Regular children will learn compassion, will learn differences, will learn how to have more patience and tolerance to all differences in life. And the kids with learning difficulties will learn how to catch up to their peers, learn certain life skills and learning skills from their peers.
Well, Ms. May, that concludes this segment of Myth or Fact, and now we do have to go to a report, and we have a lot more to dive into. So, dear viewers, let's watch this report together, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back, dear viewers, and I am joined once again in our studio with our distinguished guest, Ms. Mai Alshawaf. Now, Ms. May, we'll dive deeper into the questions, and can you tell us what is the first correct step that parents should take after the diagnosis?
For me personally, I have a different opinion than others. Most people are going to say the first step should be early intervention. I do agree with early intervention, but the first step for parents who diagnose their child with any disability, any learning difficulties, is having someone to support the parents. Because if you don't have someone at your back supporting the parents, telling them exactly what to do, and giving them the support they need at the first stages of the diagnosis, the denial, the anger, the not believing of what's happening on with their child, there's going to be some bumps along the way. So having someone at the back of the parents should be the first step. They need to know the exact definition of their child's disorder, their child's medical condition, or let's say disability, and they should know how this disability is not going to affect just the academic performance or the life school of their child, how it could interfere with their life at home, and how those difficulties will definitely make problems at home if they're not aware of it, if they're not ready, and if they are not working as a team, the parents, the other siblings, and the child itself.
So when you talk about support, and you mentioned something like they go through these phases, let's say denial, or is it like the 5 stages of grief almost? Like
definitely,
yeah?
Definitely, because each parent wants and dreams of a regular child.
Yes.
Even though kids with learning difficulties are perfectly fine and normal, but the social norm tells us this is not normal. I have a child who's struggling. What is going to happen to their life later on if they don't succeed academically? So we're bummed. There's something bothering us. There's something that we don't want, something we don't want to believe, and we will definitely go through the stages of grief. We'll have anger, misbelief, and until we reach the point of acceptance.
Okay, so Ms. May, when a parent, let's say, is in the phase of denial, can it be harmful to a child if the parent doesn't take the action as soon as they can?
Yes, sure, because if a parent is in denial, they're not going to take their kids to the therapies, to the tuitions they need. They're not going to take any drastic measures to help this child overcome the learning difficulties they have, or to give them the support they need at home. this child, if he's not nurtured the right way, if he doesn't take the support he needs, if the school is not aware of their situation, some kids might even need medication to help them with those learning difficulties. If the parents are not aware of all this and they're not supporting, the child will have regression, they will not develop the right way, and they might eventually not even succeed in life because parents were unaware of their condition or not willing to accept the condition and move forward.
Yes, yes. So what are some of the main daily challenges that families face in this regard?
A lot of kids with learning difficulties refuse to go to school because it's something hard for them. They're either bullied in school, or it's difficult, or teachers don't understand them, so they refuse to go to school. You see parents at the door of the school trying to actually pull their kids from the car, out of the car, and push them to school. Other kids might be behaviorally challenging because I don't understand what's going on in school. Whatever they're explaining is hard for me. They'll misbehave in class, they'll misbehave in school just to avoid school. So the school will call the parents to tell them, come pick up your child, they're making trouble. Other kids might be okay, not behaving in school, they'll misbehave at home because I'm struggling, something is challenging, I don't want to do my homework. Other kids with learning difficulties are by nature, they're stubborn, they're angry, they have aggression, so they're making up fights with their siblings, they're not listening to the instructions, or sometimes kids are trying, but the parents are not giving them the chance to have the time they need. You'll tell an order for a child, he has difficulties, he didn't understand what you said fully.
Yes.
They need, instead of 5 minutes, they need 10 minutes. You'll tell them, by 7:30 you need to be by the door. They have no sense of time, so they're not there by 7:30. Parents will be angry, the child is crying. There's a lot of struggle and issues that come with dealing with a child with learning difficulties, because it's not only academic work. There's life skills they need to learn. There's life skills they can never learn, like time management, money management, proper social interaction. They'll go in a gathering, they don't know the proper order of greeting and saying hi to people, or they'll miss an adult and not kiss their head or say hi to, and the parents will be angry. Now what do I say to others? Why are you behaving this way?
Yes.
And those kids, they don't understand the social norm.
So what kind of advice could you give to the dear viewers watching at home that are parents when it comes to dealing with the child's frustration with these types of things?
Parents should educate themselves. Now it's an age where everything is open. You can have information wherever you want, from your phone, your iPad, the internet. Specialists are available everywhere, and some of them are free, giving information for free. There's nothing that's stopping you from learning how to accommodate your child, making modifications in your home, in the school, in your regular routine to accommodate this child, and actually trying to understand what they're going on, or trying to understand how you can help them to help yourself as a parent and eventually have a successful family life.
It does have a domino effect, but the parent just needs to start.
Yes. The first step is hard because it means I need to learn something I don't know.
Exactly.
So the first step is usually hard, but once you dive into it, this life of learning difficulties, you can even learn from it to help your regular kids, to help regular students if you're a teacher, to help even yourself. And you'll realize a lot of people as grown-ups, when they have a child with ADHD, they'll realize, I do have ADHD myself, but I was not aware. Now that I know the signs, the symptoms, and how it's supposed to affect our life, I realized that I have struggles myself, or I have some sensory issues, or some difficulties waiting in line because I have no patience. You'll realize those issues were with you since you were a child, but nobody was aware of that.
Exactly. So now we've touched upon the siblings, we've touched upon the parents. What about the school? What can they do to create a suitable environment?
Schools should be very accommodating for kids with learning difficulties. They should have all the tools, all the specialists around. Here in Kuwait, we struggle with that because some schools are not fully integrated, but this is what we're hoping for. We want fully integrated school with specialists that come with the tools that they need, the strategies the kids need, the plans the kids need. They can all be together in the same classroom, and everybody's happy. Everybody has their own plans. Regular kids, learning difficulties kids, sometimes even autistic kids can join in the journey. And those specialists are here and they are available. They just need to be put in the right place.
So what about play? Like, let's say, some sort of games. Can that be used as a tool for educational purposes?
Definitely. Play therapy is one of the best strategies for parents, therapists, teachers to use. You're trying to help the child. They're not aware of the attempts you're trying. If you put a child with a paper and pen and you'll tell them, let's learn numbers, there's a push away, there's struggle. I don't want to do that. It's hard. But if you introduce numbers in a game, or if you play snakes and ladders, or if you play any kind of games, you're teaching them something in a fun environment. You're teaching them some skills, play role, waiting for turns, asking questions, without them actually knowing that you're teaching them something. And they're having fun. So there's not going to be this aspect of pulling away, anger, or hating the whole process of learning.
And resenting it,
yes,
basically.
and resenting the process, yes.
So can that spill over to, let's say, sports and art? Can that help improve the condition?
Kids with learning difficulties, they definitely need to have a hobby, either art, sports. Swimming is one of the best sports to help kids with ADHD.
Interesting. To
relieve their hyperactivity so they can focus later on when they're studying. Jumping on the trampoline. It's proven that if kids jump for 20 minutes on the trampoline before going to school in the morning, it helps them concentrate more, focus, and be much calmer in the classroom. So, like we said, play, sports, and arts, they can help overall the kids in their journey with learning difficulties.
Well, Ms. May, we really appreciate your insight and your time, but unfortunately we have reached the conclusion of this episode. We hope to see you soon in the next episode.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, dear viewers, that concludes this episode of DocTalk. We hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we did, and we thank you for spending your time with us and keeping us company. Until next time, stay informed and stay healthy. Goodbye.